Hi, YouTube. I hope you're doing okay. I am all right. Um, I have kind of a heat headache. I was up, and probably chemicals because I used some bleach with lavender. I pulled out that old stove of mine and cleaned and mopped the kitchen floor and got my exercises done, but I did work up a sweat and it's kind of warm. It's sort of like I would call it humid and breezy, but it's in the 80s or close to it. Actually, I haven't checked. Just a moment. It is, well, it says 77, so yeah. Um, it's gonna be. We have a heat wave coming up, like a few really hot days. I'm gonna turn my back on you briefly here to read you something. I want to get it word for word the way the meme was written. So you can actually spread the information and Google it yourself and make sure you spread this news to everybody. This is very important right now for our economy all across America, whether it be in the United States or Canada, Mexico, wherever. This is really important. So, just a minute, I'm going to try and yell it to you so you hear me loud and clear. Thank you. Just a minute. Every time you hear the term fossil fuel used by experts in quotation marks, you are being lied to. In 1892, at the Geneva Convention, J.D. Rockefeller paid scientists to call oil fossil fuel to induce the idea of scarcity. The truth is, oil is the second most prevalent liquid on Earth next to water and regenerates within the Earth faster than it could ever be depleted. The same with the water, the same with the lava. Lava melts, makes rocks, melts again. Water evaporates, comes back down, and we have it within the earth. The same with the oil. The plant life is not from animals. The oil, it's from plant life decaying. Just like in the swamps, you see that oily, gunky. That's the beginning of oil, is not fossil fuels. Make sure you spread this to everybody you know. Look it up. Geneva Convention, 1892. J.D. Rockefeller paid scientists to lie to the people to induce scarcity frights, you know, just trying to up the price of what they could sell and make money off of with the people, the same as what they're going to be doing with the water. That's what I was getting at yesterday. I didn't quite come to the point. Um, as far as I was talking about the dams out west, like on the Colorado River system, we have had more rain and snow in the northern part of the hemisphere of the United States than hardly ever. And what is being depleted out of places like the Hoover Dam, um, Mr. MBB 333 showed water lines around like it wasn't Lake Powell, it was another lake up above. I think might have been Montana or Utah, one of the neighboring states. I can't remember. I know I've been there. But anyway, my point being, the water line that he showed was from the spring rain and the snow melt. It's natural to leave a ring around any body of water that freezes and melts. You get those rings from natural depletion during the summertime. So I didn't see a great big difference in that. But what I do know for certain, like with the Lake Mead, for instance, is being drained. The Colorado River, California has rights to all the water off the Colorado River. So whatever they don't want to go down to Texas or Mexico or Arizona or whatever is not going to go down there. And that water is being redirected to places like Las Vegas and water parks and that type of thing. And that is why that lake is being drained. So our weather has not changed. I looked on 11 years ago. Today was 60 degrees and rainy. This morning it was similar with precipitation, the same with the day before. Nothing has changed. Um, there's no difference in anything that's ever been. The same with the heat. This is the hottest time in California. This is normal. The same with Arizona. I know, I've been these places. I know exactly the lies that they're saying. Oh, speaking of lies, I'm going to share. I don't know if you caught Tucker Carlson's news report last night about the Biden men, but he went in depth on a lot of stuff and dropped a lot of truth that people should be aware of. It doesn't matter to me who you vote for. Um, the two-party system is nothing. And the thing is, his point is, and this is the biggest point, we are trading, and the Biden administration is trading with our biggest enemies. They are taking funds and redistributing things, and China is getting a lot of welfare from us. And see, people don't understand the dangers of China having their foothold in our Congress through people like the World Economic Forum and the United Nations and NATO. Did you know that, for instance, um, Russia wanted to become a part of NATO and they weren't allowed to be? But did you know that Russia is less to a threat to us than China is? Things like that. It just, people around the world really are not aware of the danger of what's going on. And and it doesn't even have to be called communism under the blanket of the dark cabal. Can use any area, whether it be the mafia or government or the cartels, those type, right down to your everyday street hoods. They'll use anybody and everything. So it isn't just like the Masons or nothing like that. It's a well contrived situation that they've put us all in on this planet, and just making people aware. I mean, when these people talk about the rising gas prices, whenever, and they're an elected official, they know the truth. They're lying. Period. Period. You know, if they actually charged what oil was worth, the same with water, we'd all have it free, aside from what it would cost to pay the crews to pump it out of the ground and transport it. That would, that's just it. They haven't been making enough money off of it. Big oil had to shut down everything to eat up the little uh, smaller oil companies, so they go out of business, and then they can come back in and open up that pipeline in another 2 years when the Republicans get in there, and then they'll look like the heroes. after all of them had made money. If they do this every 4 years or every 8 years, it's all the same beast. It's all the same animal working together. They're working in tandem regardless what they're doing. They're always supporting. It's not the working class they're worried about. In fact, if they get their way, there's going to be the very, very rich and the absolutely poor eating out of soup kitchens, all living in cities with no single family homes. You will not own a car. You won't even own a television. Everything will be rented. That's their game plan. You know. So, anyway, I just want you to know that they're the biggest bunch of liars on this planet. Don't trust any of them. If they're working all together now against the people, which they have been, and it's very, very clear, there aren't any good ones. There are not any good ones. There's some that appear to be good, but they're just the ones like the ones that are lukewarm. I don't know if there's a God or not type of thing. In their hearts, you didn't make yourself. Whether you call it God or the source or whoever, whatever, and I know I did not make myself. If it kills a person to say, wow, I was created, I did not create myself. You aren't missing a memory where you didn't create yourself. It's just not there because you didn't do it. God didn't forget he created us. Although woman gave birth to man, the thought, the God, the spoken word, that energy put us here. But men aren't ever going to have children. And they just have to get a grip with the fact that you came out of a woman's body. You might hate women or you might not, but regardless of the fact, that's where you originated, whether you like it or not. You know? And there's a lot of men that don't like it. Well, hey, I'm cool with that too. If I could take a lot of men off this planet, no offense to the good ones, you'd be absolutely gone. I wouldn't have a problem with that. You could say the same with me, and I'd say, adios. Okay, we agree on one thing. We do not want to be in each other's lives. You know? And that brings me into, like these drag shows for little people. Why in the world would any adult need to cross dress in lingerie, no less, in front of little people? Why a child as your audience? What kind of sick pervert needs a little kid to be an audience to perversion? This isn't playing dress up. These are erotic looking, absolutely masculine looking men dressing up as women in front of little children. If that doesn't scream confusion, I don't know what does. But yeah, I mean, I heard somebody say this, and it is so true. What if what if we went into town, into our library in our underwear and wanted to read to little people? Shit, we'd be locked up in jail in a heartbeat. That's true. But they have actual videos of men in G strings with little people putting money in that exotic dancers, that man's G string. There's absolutely no reason for it. None. None. There's no excuse. None. Even any kind of erotic dancer. Why would you want your child around any kind of, I don't care if it's like burlesque or what if they think it's some kind of art form. No, what happened to Barney or the big red dog, where's Clifford, you know, or Kermit or somebody like that, you know? Did we forget these were little people? That's what they want us to do. Forget they're little people so they can do what they want with them. And yeah, that's one of their perversions and their sicknesses. So it's very true. Yeah, I cannot believe, well, I can believe it, but Biden going over to Syria to ask for oil from OPEC when we have all the oil we'll ever need right in our own country. Talk about betrayal. Sell the best of the fuel that we have and cost us more money and more pollution on the planet, giving money to another country and charging the people in the United States for that. This dude needs to be, well, I would say hung, but put in jail would be good enough. You know, the reason I say hung is for his pushing abnormalities, mental illnesses on little people. So, just like when he called his son and was trying to tell him that he said, well, I'm not going to hurt you, but something about getting this fixed up and I love you and yeah, Hunter, I'm not calling to hurt you or blah blah. You'll hear it on Tucker's. He's got the recording of it if you haven't heard it already. First off, why would a parent say, I'm not going to hurt you? Why would your child be afraid that you would hurt them unless, number one, they were doing something wrong or you all knew you're all doing something wrong, you know? So they have this evidence against the president and his kid, and not one like CIA agent or anything has even gone after these people at all in any way. That Mark, I can't remember his last name, that had to go over to Switzerland with that information and hide and try and get the information out to the public before they could cover it up. You know, they still have what something like 12,000 emails or different things to go through. But it's just like with the Clinton Foundation that was human trafficking children out of London, England, and had the it was and the guy that was owned the company with Hillary and her daughter were laundering money and trafficking children. They totally got away with that. When you hear of Evergreen shipping, that was Hillary and people inside those containers that were rescued. I wonder when all this truth is going to come out and who's keeping it from the public. Did you hear about that? When in the Panama Canal a few years back here, when that ship was like cornered sideways in the canal, something like 14 days or something, and people thought it was like a shipment of goods or something, and they literally found people in there. Evergreen shipping. Hillary, the Clintons own it. This isn't just me, just fictitious things. These are people that have been following these people and not crackpots and fruitcakes. I'm talking about journalists and investigators and attorneys, highly educated people. Not, I'm not putting down because I've like scrubbed toilets or cooked or whatever, but not a housekeeper or cook. These are people that are highly educated going after the dark cabal. You know, that's what we're doing out here. We aren't playing. We're trying to share information and make some kind of end to all this. And I believe that a lot of their monuments were set up to be blown up from the very beginning. Um, and if the Vatican truly was on fire, you better believe that they took, just like with the Library at Alexander, and I can attest to the fact that they got documents and books out of there before they torched that thing, because I've read them. You know, maybe not every single one, no, but I've read libraries that were so extensive, it'd blow your mind. Most people couldn't even read a book in a day, let alone read a book and then pick up another one and start in on it, you know. When you go to the library once a week and bring home 5 books and it wasn't enough, that was my childhood. Literally. Or belonging to the book fair, we would have a bookmobile come into our neighborhood, and then we could actually buy books. And I belonged to this paperback club, and we could buy like different novels in paperback form, which was really cool. And if the more you bought, you could get like an extra one or something like that. And in our home, we got like Reader's Digest. It would have like words of the day with the definitions of the words, and um, just all kinds of literature. I mean, like oh, I'm trying to think of this one childhood magazine that was made by Reader's Digest, and now it eludes me. But it was the coolest magazine. But then I started getting like junior popular mechanics, science junior, all kinds of. There was another one in that category. My headache is hindering me, so I'll light another cigarette and talk a little more with you here. And but yeah, what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of people that really don't even read anymore. I mean, I'm not putting anybody down like that. That's not what I mean. There's so many great avenues of learning things nowadays. Reading really isn't the only way to do that, but learning words is a really, really important thing to understand what you're reading, you know. The first thing you should read is a very old dictionary with a thesaurus. And look at every single word where it leads. And I would suggest an old Merriam Webster's dictionary, first edition. So, which is very old. If you can get it in the 1900s, you're luckier. The same with any Bible, or the concordance hasn't changed too much like the Strong's, but the dictionaries and the Bibles have. So, just thought of that song by Moody Blues, Tuesday Afternoon. That's a good song. Yeah, I like Nights in White Satin. That is good because it is so true. I did try writing letters to them. Never meant to send them. No, I did send them. I'd tell them straight up, the word of God in the face of evil all my life, you know. But the easiest thing for them to do is piss me off and then put me in a corner and tell me that I just did something wrong after they worked so hard to piss me off. It might have even took them a year, to get me to that state. And then they're like, oh, look at you now. You're the bad one. I'm like, wow, I think I just got tortured into being pissed. What do you think? Watch out for these people that will say, like you're going to forgive somebody 700 times or 77 times, or how many times do you forgive your brother? As many as God's going to forgive you. Okay. When I stop doing bad shit, how many times do I forgive my brother then? When he's older than me and will not rise to the occasion. There comes to be a time when people that are doing really horrible things to other people in this world, forgiveness goes so far and love goes so far. And you can love and forgive a person and still hold them accountable for their wicked deeds, and that's what I'm doing. I'm holding people accountable. And if you succeed in pissing me off, and then you can paint me as some kind of bad person temporarily, you might be right. In the long run, you made a fool out of yourself and didn't even touch me with your dirt. So that's the way that goes. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you. If you know who I mean. Them type. Because that's what they do. They will act low till you just cannot stand one more drop of stupid. And then you got to say and do something about it. It's either that or just wallow in your pain and suck it up and say, well, I'm not going to be Christian like if I speak up here. No, God didn't make us to be walked on like that. That's bullshit. There is absolutely nothing wrong with holding people accountable for their misdeeds. And if they're a dirty son of a biscuit to begin with, and that's their nature, and the more of it they do is more than anybody else, and you recognize these things, you would be remiss. You would be not doing your duty for other human beings if you didn't put that thing in checkmate. You know, and that's a fact. If you can't go up to somebody you say you love and tell them, you're not acting right here. You don't actually have to tell them, look, you're a perverted, mentally ill, sick piece of crap. But you could say, your behavior is not acceptable in society. And you know that. They're trying to make bad behavior towards other people acceptable and make the victim unable to even speak about it. You know? Just like thought crimes. I'm living proof that thought crimes are not real. I've thought satanic thoughts of poking holes in people And yet here I am, 64, and have never poked a hole in a human being ever, ever. Although that lingering, well, I would say not lingering, but fleeting thought, my headache is lingering, but the thought of doing somebody harm in a time of when I'm injured is a real thing, and that's something they bring out of me. That's theirs, that's on them. That's not me. That's not my personality, or I'd be in prison. I'm I'm living proof that thought crimes are not crimes at all, but the satanic force trying to get into the human spirit and make us something that we aren't. So they use their little dogs to piss you off. And then when you try to reprimand that dog and put it back in the kennel, it wants to walk on two legs and act like a human, say, I'm not a dog. I didn't just try to bite you. And now you're a bad human being for not treating me like a human being, although there's still a dog. I hope you got my point. So thought crimes are not real, because there'd be a lot of us that would be in prison if that were the case. Isn't that true? So, in the eyes of God, yes, it's not a good thing. And yes, in our hearts, we did commit that. But did we really, if it wasn't from our hearts, if it was on the surface in our minds and that was induced by evil to begin with, and we took all we could take, and it's been many, many days of torture, you are going to say something. You won't want to do it, and you never have done it, but you'll say something because it does alleviate the pressure if you're able to speak about the things that, and that's they're trying to stop too. So you have to shut the hell up, take what they're dishing out, and if you speak up about it, it's a thought crime and you're a criminal. No, it's not like that. So there's a lot of things that they're going to try and pull in this world right now, concentrating on the fuel and the human trafficking, you know, getting those things under control. So, because that's our whole economy. The human trafficking is really where they make all their money. It's not the fuel. That's just the covering of the things they want us to focus on the most, and use it to destroy our economy. That's their way of doing it. First, you bring down the adults where they can't function and pay their bills, and then you attack the children. And we see it happening. That's what they're doing. Can't wait to see what this next year of the school season holds for these little people. So, well, everybody, thank you for joining me. I'm going to get this uploaded. I hope you have a wonderful night or day wherever you're at. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Spread the word. Make sure everybody knows. Drill it into their heads. Get it. Oil is renewable. The big lie, the biggest lie told to modern man is that it's a fossil fuel. So, peace, everybody.